Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive Cash Card Plus. Available to use online, at ATMs or even down the local. Paddy Power, you beauty.
Hello and welcome to Friday's Tipping Postcast. I'm Maddie Plough and I'm joined on the sofa by Paul Keeley. We've also got David Jennings and Frank Hickey from Paddy Power looking ahead to the whole of the weekend. Now, off air, we were just chatting what everyone was up to, and I think we should just have a whole postcast of our experiences. Now, David, you've had an absolutely amazing weekend, am I right?
Oh, jeez. Yeah,
well, Keels has been missing winners for various reasons. You've...
Yeah, I suppose I backed a loser for the rest of my life, if you could call it that. I fell onto my knee during the week there and got engaged.
Oh, well, congratulations. Frank, and you said you used the same method. What's this going on?
Great minds thinking alike.
When I got engaged, what was it, a year and a half ago, I reenacted our first date, so we went back to where we had our first date. Now, I wouldn't be much of a romantic, so that's about as romantic as it got. So how I asked her would she commit to making my dinner for the rest of her life.
Very good.
That did the trick.
Right, well, you two pair of soppy gits, and then Keels is just absolutely furious because he missed out on Elthie. Didn't you back a 10-1 winner or something like that?
It was 20-1 in the morning, Elthie. No, I was so busy. I was trying to nag my son into getting ready to go back to uni, and we were carting stuff around, and I forgot all about it. I took him, and then I came home, and it was my daughter's birthday, and we'd been out the night before, but I thought, well, I'll take her out for another lunch, and forgot all about it. Yeah, Elthea was 20s in the mornings, bolted up, and then midnight shot one at Utoxeter, bolted up as well, and I didn't have a bean on either.
Family, so inconvenient.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what happens when you get married, Dave. You end up with kids getting in the way.
You've got all that to look forward to. Right, Saturday at Newmarket, we're going to start off with the Juddmonte Royal Lodge at 150, the Group 2. We've got the Frankles at the head of the betting, I believe, with Nelson and Herculean. Frank, do you just want to kick us off with the betting you've got for us?
Yeah, Herculean's now a non-runner. So
is he?
Nelson's very short price fav. He's 4-7. Mildenberger 4-1 along with Roaring Lion. Petrus is 20-1 and Midnight Wild is 33s.
Okay, well, if you were listening on Monday, you know I'm a big Roaring Lion fan. We'll kick off with you, Keels. Who do you fancy? Is it Nelson all the way?
No, not at all, no. I mean, I think, even we're going even shorter. I think this is the lay of the weekend, I really do. For a start, I think he's monstrously overrated on that win last time at Leopardstown. He got the easiest of easy leads, and he shouldn't have been in group company if he couldn't win, given the way the race panned out. Right, they went so slow. Right, that a 6-year-old running over 1 mile and 5 furlongs in the next race covered the first mile 6 seconds faster than Nelson did.
Blimey.
And only got beat 2 3/4 lengths at the end. I think Burnt Sugar won the handicap from a standing start over 7 furlongs, covered the last 7 furlongs 5 seconds faster than Nelson. So it wasn't a proper race. You can tell by the top speed figure. I think we gave it 40 something. Like, you know what I mean? It was just a really, really slowly run race. Second thing, Aidan O'Brien has won the race 5 times. He has never won it with or run a really, really top-class horse in this race. He saves his best for other races. He's running a filly in the Lagardère against the Colts for a first prize of 170 grand, and he's sending this one over here for 60 grand, and the Lagardère is weak. On official ratings, Nelson would be £4 clear of Massar, who was a short price favourite for the Lagardère. So I don't think this is a top-class horse. He might still be good enough to win it, but I'm dead keen to take him on. I'll take him on with Mildenberger. I think he's got some solid form, and I just think that James Doyle would be too wise just to let Ryan Merce set easy fractions, and I'll definitely take him on, and I'll definitely lay it and hope one of the others beat him as well. Okay,
nice strong opinions. That's what we like. DJ, what about you? Are you with Keels dead against this Nelson?
Oh, I'm holding Paul's hand here. I'm not convinced by Nelson at all. He beat Kew Gardens, Delano Roosevelt and Riazan, and the 3 of them who he beat was all 3 of them were stuffed by Saxon Warrior in the Beresford, like couldn't lay a glove on him at all. I think the form of that Group 3 at Leopardstown looks really questionable. Now, Aidan's last 2 winners of this race were Daddy Longlegs and Beethoven, and none of those, as Paul said, were superstars either, but they were good enough to win this. And the problem here is, and it's probably Paul's main worry here, is you're taking him on and you're just hoping there's something in there, but you can't be sure that there's something in there that's going to beat him. To be honest, at the prices, I thought Petrus was a big price. I thought he ran well behind Expert Eye at Newbury over a trip that was too short. That was only 6.5 furlongs. I think he needs further. And I was quite impressed at Sandown last time, I have to say. James Doyle rode him, didn't really get stuck in. He drew nicely clear. The second Barford won next time for Pam Sly. Like, it wasn't a fantastic race, but I just thought it was, like, I don't know what price it is now. It was 25 to 1 before Herculean came out.
What
and
price
the other
is
thing
it now, Frank? Can we just
20s.
refresh us? 20s, okay.
20s, yeah. I don't think it'll go off 20s. It mightn't win, but I think it's too big of a price. And the other thing I'll say, I was on a news shift on Monday, and I rang Aidan, and I was going through ARC stuff and weekend stuff, and he was really, really open and saying what was going for what race. And I said, well, Nelson is favourite for the Royal Lodge. Will he run? And he goes, he'd probably run, but he's a probable but not a definite, he said. And there was others on the card that he was absolutely definite about. So that just makes me think that Nelson mightn't be just a superstar that the betting suggests he is.
Okay, Petrus, I think he's got a fairly big reputation as well. Brian Means always thought a lot of him, so you're right, he could be an interesting one. Frank, anything to add?
I agree with the lads. Nelson, I think, like, the sceptic in me thought that they decided before the race which one of them was going to win, and he went out and got the old easy lead, and the other two O'Brien horses weren't trying too hard till the race was all over, and they came home nicely to finish second and third. But Paul gave you the times there. It was an absolute crawl. I'd say, excuse the language, but it was a shite race. Mildenberger, he's pretty decent. He's a bit slow. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw him winning something like the Queen's Vase next year. Roaring Lion looked immense at Kempton, but I just have a sneaking suspicion because of the breeding that he might be an all-weather tool. So I actually, believe it or not, liked Petrus as well. He ran in that maiden that Expert Eye won. Third that day was his stablemate Barricaro, who has a similar profile in that he was third at Newbury, won his maiden very impressively, and went to the Richmond Stakes and won really well. Petrus was fourth, won his maiden really well at Sandown, and now he rocks up in a group race. And 20 to 1, like as David said, he may not win, but I think 20 to 1 is far too big. I don't think he actually has that much to find with them.
Okay, so potentially an awful lot of value there, all against Nelson. That's what we like. Moving on to the Cheveley Park now at 2.20. I believe Paddy have a money back special if your horse finishes second, third or fourth to the favourite. Clemmy is running here after not running in the Moyglare. I've also got Lau, the winner, Threading, I believe, and Different League, who won the Albany. Go on then, Kills, kick us off again.
Yeah, I mean, it's a similar thing here. Not exactly the same. I mean, Clemmy is a very, very decent filly, no doubt about it. And I don't think there's any doubt about her form. However, I don't think in a race of this quality she deserves to be anywhere near as short as she is. I would have made it almost an each or two between her and Thread in, and maybe throw Heartache in there as well. Different League's a decent horse. This is a really, really good Cheveley Park. I fancy Thread in. I thought she did it really, really, really well at York. I think she'll like the rising ground at the finish. Obviously, the ease in the ground that we got after the rain on Thursday will have done her no harm at all. And she'd be the one for me. But basically, I just think Clemmy is far too short. She's around 7 to 4, and she.
Yeah, Frank, what price can we get?
She's 7 to 4. Heartache and Threading are 7 to 2. Different League 8s. Betty F 10s. Madeline 14s were 16 bar.
David, moving on to you next. What do you reckon of this Clemmy? Because after Aidan O'Brien took her out of the Moyglare, I sensed that he was really, really dying to get that run into her. And that's a bit of a worry for me. Would it worry you?
No. I think there's a good thing. I do. I think while I certainly see Paul's point, and it's a pretty good race. Threading looked very good. Heartache is a really good filly and did remarkably well, I thought, to win at Doncaster when she was on probably the wrong side of the track. I was talking to Aidan on Monday about the plans for today and tomorrow and the Arc and Sunday and everything, and the one dominant throughout the whole conversation was that Clemmy definitely goes for the Cheveley Park. This has been the aim since she missed the Moyglare, and that he's very, very happy with her. I think it was a blessing in disguise missing the Moyglare. I think she's a typical 2-year-old filly from Ballydoyle that just keeps on improving and improving. She's a full sister to Churchill. I think she was very professional in the Duke of Cambridge. I think she's going to be a little bit like Churchill in that she's never going to be explosive, and she's never going to win. Like, she's not going to win by 5 lengths. I could see her winning by 1.5 lengths again, and just being kind of professional, getting her job done. She idles when she gets to the front. Like, her form is working out really well. I even think, going back to the performance at Royal Ascot in the Albany, when you look back on that, I thought it was a fair effort now, I have to say, on only her second start. I think she's a really, really, really top-class 2-year-old filly. 7 to 4 is probably the right price, but I think she'll win.
Okay, I remember watching Clemmy on her debut, and you're right, she took her time to get going, and that Albany run's probably quite fair.
I think by all accounts, I think she has absolutely come alive in the last couple of weeks.
Oh, okay. Right. Well, Clemmy for DJ then. Frank, I mean, Paul's given us threading and DJ's gone with Clemmy. Can you give us anything else, or are you going to side with one of those two?
No, I think the two of them set a fairly decent standard. Like, there's a couple of interesting ones. Betty F was a nice winner of a maiden here over 6 furlongs. She's bred to be nice, but I think Clemmy and threading are the two to concentrate on. And I was fishing, I priced it up this morning, and Mamba Noir has run against both of them, against Clemmy in the Duchess of Cambridge and against Threading in the Lowther. She was beaten 2 1/4 by Clemmy, 2 1/2 by Threading. Now, you can't use that as an exact guide, but it just gives you a guide that they're both pretty decent, and there's not a whole pile between them. They're both rated 108, 174, 172. There's the biggest fours on Threading. To be honest, I'm just going to back her each way. If she doesn't beat Clemmy, she'll be second. I think she might beat Clemmy, to be honest.
Okay, so Threading for you as well. You mentioned Betty F. Do you think it's perhaps speaks volumes that Nasida chooses to run her, straight after the one win in a race like this, or would you just think she's not quite good enough yet?
I wouldn't say she's not quite good enough yet. Even if you look at today, he has one called the Friglia, I think, that was second in the maiden, and he's thrown her into Group 3, and she's off the boards. So, like, if Betty F, she wasn't very strong in the market that day, which was surprising considering it did look the strongest Newmarket maiden, and it was a Frankel with Nasida, and they normally ramp him a small bit. So the fact that she won by 3/4 of a length, but she won very cosy. Yeah, I'd say she's very good, but she'll have to improve a fair bit to beat the other two.
Yeah, of course. Middle Park next at 2.55. Again, the same money back special if yours finishes second, third, or fourth to the favourite. Personally, I was really surprised about the price you could get on Soon Nation. This is quite a good race. You got Raja Singh, unfortunately, in there as well. Frank, what price can you get on Soon Nation and the rest of them?
We're 7-2 Soon Nation, 4-1 Sands of Mali, 9-2 unfortunately, 7-1 both Beckford and Raja Singh, 8-1 US Navy Flag, 9-1 Card Sharp, and 16-1 Bar.
Okay, mix it up and go back to you then, Frank. What do you make of this one?
Soon Nation, he's very good, but I just have a suspicion he needs it real fast to be at his very best. His 2 wins.
He's a scat daddy, isn't he? So
yeah, he won at Ascot in the Norfolk and the Phoenix States, and was good to firm in places both days. It's going to be good to soft, probably tomorrow. It would just turn me off him. Now, there's one that did me a favourite, York and Sansamani. I don't think there's any reason to abandon him. He hammered Invincible Army and Card Sharp that day, and if anything, he was really strong at the finish. The uphill here should suit him. He handles cut on the ground. Even when he won at Nottingham, he beat that Irene of Dean Ivory, who was just touched off in the Group 3 at Salisbury. The form stands up. Now, this is a very competitive race, but yeah, he looks really good to me. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he was a little bit weak in the market, where people latch on to Beckford, Sioux Nation, and maybe even, unfortunately, and he could drift out to 5-1 or 11-2. But I'd definitely be backing him at that kind of price. Okay,
so don't underestimate Sands of Mali, who won the Gym Crack. David, are you in agreement?
No, I can't get over the price of Beckford, Maddie. I really can't. 7-1 looks huge to me. Back over 6. You have to remember this horse traded at 1.18 when he was outstayed. In the National Stakes, and that was on really, really testing ground. And I just think 6 furlongs, Newmarket, tailor made for him. If you remember, he beat Verbal Dexterity easily back in the earlier on in the season, and I know he was beaten by Sioux Nation in the Phoenix Stakes, but you know what, I watched that race yesterday, and you kind of watch the race, he looks every bit as good as Sioux Nation during it, and I think there's too much between them in the betting. 7-2 and 7-1. There's no way Beckford should be twice the price of Sioux Nation. He should be fine on the ground. It was bottomless last time behind Verbal Dexterity in the National Stakes. He beat Verbal Dexterity on good yielding ground at the Curragh. I think he's one that will cope with the cut in the ground, and I think 6 furlongs at Newmarket, I think it's tailor made from. I think this could be a big flat win for Gordon Elliott.
Yeah, do you not think it's a bit odd how he sort of looked like he'd absolutely relished the step up to 7, and then when they stepped him up, he didn't seem to see it out quite right? Do you think this will be his trip?
I thought he was a sprinter. Every time I've seen him, I thought he was a sprinter. I thought he looked a sprinter the first day when he won his maiden at the Curragh when he quickened up. I thought it was a speed that made him beat verbal dexterity in the railway. I think he's all speed, to be honest. And I think what he has is the ability to cope with cutting the ground. When you combine that with a bit of speed, I think he'll take a bit of beating here.
Okay, there's a few we've not really mentioned that are really interesting, the likes of Raja Singh and unfortunately Keels. Either of them for you?
I can see Raja Singh coming back to a bit of form. It's interesting that they've given him a break after he disappointed after the Coventry. But I mean, you could basically just replay what David said about Beckford, to be honest, because I've really fancied him for this. He's only got beat half length by Sioux Nation on fast ground. He will really appreciate the soft ground by comparison. And like I said, he looked like he was running all over verbal dexterity last time before not staying. I think he's the horse to beat, and 7-1 is massive. But there are, this is a race that it looks very, very strong. That Hay Jonesy is obviously a lot better.
I'm so glad you mentioned him.
A lot better than his finishing position suggested, being on the wrong side the other day in one of those sales races. Good sales race too. So, I think there's plenty of depth in here. But for me, Beckford is the one that stands out as just being the wrong price.
Okay, I absolutely love Hay Jonesy. Totally agree with you. It'll be interesting to see how he goes. Moving on to the Bedford Cambridgeshire now at 3:35. Believe Thundering Blue is going to head the market. Frank, just remind us, Barocco as well. He's in there. He won at Newbury and Big Country as well. Yeah,
Thundering Blue was favoured at 7-1. Big Country 10s along with Naval Warfare. Chelsea Lad and Barocco are 12s, very talented. El Haim are 14s, Leader Right are 16s, and we're 20-1 bar, and we're 6 places the Cambridgeshire as well. Okay, fantastic. David, we'll go to you first this time. Mix it up a little bit.
Give me the hardest one. Thanks, Maddie.
You're welcome.
I think I had a good look through the race earlier on in the week, and the one I thought that still could be improving is Novo Man. For William Haggis and Georgia Cox. I was surprised to see that William Haggis has never won this race, because I always thought he had won kind of basically lined up for this, but he's never won it. I think this horse turned inside out in the last couple of months. I know it's been over a mile too, but it's funny when you're watching Novo Man over a mile too, he looks an out and out miler because he's really keen and travels with loads of enthusiasm, and he's put his races to bed at the time, at around the mile mark. He makes his move between the kind of 3 furlong pole and the 2 furlong pole. And at York at Goodwood, he did the same both times. He bolted clear, and he won by 4 lengths at York. The third came out and won next time. And then he beat Anything Today at Goodwood, which is rock solid form because he was third to Barocco at Newbury last week. He's only got a £5 for that, and I think he was more impressive than a £5 penalty gives him credit for. Georgia Cox gets on really well, takes off £5. Everybody is going to say, oh no, the drop down to a mile isn't going to suit, but you know what? I think it might be more of a help than a hindrance, and I thought it would get a 3-figure rating after it won at Goodwood, and it hasn't. So it is Novo Man for me, Maddie.
Okay, what price can we get on Novo Man? Just remind us, Frank.
We're 20-1.
20-1. Okay, that's pretty decent. Keels?
Yeah, well, I just think Dave eats the weekender for breakfast, doesn't he? Because that's what I tipped as well.
Weekender.
I
was getting engaged, Paul.
Yeah, right. Okay, so getting engaged over studying the form for the Cambridgeshire. Yeah, no, absolutely right. You're bang on there. At Goodwood last time, he may have only won a length, but he actually shot 4 lengths clear, and that's a good horse Anything Today. So I do really like Novo Man. I think if he's produced at the right time, he's got a fair change of gear on him. Again, this is a really hard race. Obviously, 35 runners. If there's a horse that could blow him apart, it is the favourite because he looked really good at Sandown. But I can't bring myself to back horses at 7-1 when there's 35 runners. There's a couple more that's interesting. Chelsea Lad has actually become a backable price, having been almost favourite for every time he's run this year and run well a couple of times. Disappointed last time at York, but it was first run after being gelded. Richard Kingscote rode him when he was second to Where or When at York earlier in the season. He's back on again. I think he'll go well, but it's a really hard race. I think I've only backed a winner once in my life. So there you go. But I like
better record than me.
I like Novo Man. I like Chelsea Lad. And you're fired at a much bigger price. If I don't know much about Patrick O'Hanlon claiming 7 though.
Okay. Draw-wise, do you just think the best horse wins wherever it is, or is there any way you'd like to be?
I never think there's a massive bias on the track at Newmarket. There is probably slightly more pace low, but there are plenty of horses that want to be prominent on both sides. So you're just going to have to wait and see. But I don't think you can be able to pin any sort of bias down.
Okay.
Paul, I'm just after getting a copy. I just have to run out and getting a copy of the weekend, or I actually feel bad now. Beckford.
I should have come
Nobleman.
to you first, shouldn't I? Oh,
I swear to God, I know people will actually think I am copying you, but I swear to God, I never actually saw it.
No, don't
No
worry,
one
mate. I'm only
believes you.
kidding you. I'm only kidding you.
No one believes you, DJ. Just stop now. I'm going to go to Keels next to stop it happening again. Frank, anything to add?
Yeah, well, I actually look at the going readings there, and I think there might be a slight bias towards the high numbers here.
Ah.
So, yeah, and I kind of have fallen down on 2, drawn really high as a result. Now, it's not completely because of the draw, but Barocco was a nice winner at Newbury last weekend. As long as the ground isn't too soft, he should run. He won't. That is the worry. There's no real rain forecast today, tomorrow. It won't dry out greatly, but if it's it's not soft, if it's like good to soft, good in places, that should be fine for him. The ground is no issue. He's going to run a big race because £4 wouldn't have stopped him last week. And the other one that I'm actually very keen on is Hugo Palmer's Caffeine. He's only had 4 runs from Hugo Palmer for coming from Andre Frab. He ran in a Doncaster handicap at the end of last year, finished 8th prize money. He went to York in May, was relatively strong in the mark. He went off 11-1, was beaten by Master Carpenter. That was a decent handicap. But then he got a little break, won a Chelmsford really well. He was well back that day. I think he was like 14s into 9s. And then he went to York for the Clipper Logistics and was second to Flaming Spear, who, as everyone probably knows, I absolutely adore. I thought Flaming Spear was a good winner, but this Casim ran a huge race that day. He's actually only £1 higher. He's drawn high. Josie Gordon, who I think is a brilliant rider, is on board, and I think he can go well. He's 20-1, 6 places. I think he could do far worse than that.
Okie dokie, that's Kasim for Frank then. Before we get to the break, it's time to announce the winner of this week's competition. On Monday's show, we asked who won the 2016 Arc de Triomphe. The answer was, of course, Found. Congratulations to Al from Hertfordshire. You have won a free £25 bet with Paddy Power, and there'll be another chance to win one on Monday.
Paddy Power are offering money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes 2nd, 3rd or 4th to the SP favourite in 2 races today and every day this month. Max £25 per race. T&C supply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
Okay, welcome back to Friday's Tipping Postcast. We're going to quickly have a look at Haydock now before we get stuck into Shanty and the Arc card as well. These races are on ITV. We've got the 20532red.com handicap, which has Century Dream engaged, I believe, who's coming back from break, and Lord of the Rock. Frank, roll off the betting for us, please.
Century Dream is 4-1, Lord of the Rock 13-2, Montadab and Original Choice 7th, Hippo Constantino are 8th, Dreamwalker 10th along with King's Pavilion, and we're 14th bar.
Right, now I'm quite a big fan of this Century Dream because I think he loves soft ground and he's just a good horse, I think. Keels, so David doesn't steal all your tips, we'll go to you first this time.
Yes, actually, Century Dream is a bit of a rare Cape Cross who actually loves soft ground, doesn't he? But the one I like is Lord of the Rock. I think it's quite simple. He won really well last time at York. He's been given a break now. I think he probably needs a break. He won first time out in 2016. Won the Spring Mile. The Lincoln Consolation, ran no sort of races after that, and no race first time out in the same race this year. But given a break, he came back at the end of July and he won very easily. I think he's fine on soft ground. They've always rated him quite highly, and I think he might actually turn into a very decent handicapper even as a 6-year-old.
Okay, Lord of the Rock for Keels. David, I'm banning you from picking him, so pick something else.
No, you're safe enough. I'm not going to go for Lord of the Rock. This Century Dream, when this ran, I know it hasn't ran for, I think, 63 days.
Yeah, it's had a break, hasn't it?
It's had a break, but it won at Doncaster. It was quite impressive when it won a handicap there in June. Travelled really well, won off 87. Looked the most uncomplicated horse you could find, tracked the pace, led about 2 out and won comfortably. Then it went to Ayr next time, was a short price favourite. Again, it says at 3/4 of a length it beat Truth or Dare by, but it was more impressive than the winning margin suggests. That was off 93. And then you go to Ascot, right, at the end of July, and you're saying this is the most straightforward horse you can find. It's drawn in stall 1. Happy days, up £5 for the recent win. I think it's better than that. And what does Ryan Moore do? Only hold it up out the back. And it just made absolutely no sense whatsoever to me. I was watching the race thinking, what the hell is going on here? Why bother holding the horse up when you know it's won its bread and butter is basically sitting close to the pace, kicking on 2 out and winning. That's what it's done in its last 2 starts. Graham Lee, I'm sure, will revert to normal tactics on Century during this time. I think he's at least 100 horse in the making, and I think he'll win.
I think its key to him is the ground as well. Even when he won at Ayr, I think Connections were keen. He would have wanted it a lot softer. So obviously,
well, it's heavy at Haydock.
With the heavy ground at Haydock, I think I'm with you. I think Frank, anything different for you?
Yeah, I'm very, very keen on one here. William Haggis's original choice. He looks very progressive. The last day at Chester, he was second behind Dan Troop. Dan Troop went to Chester the next time and absolutely hacked up again. He's now 18 pounds higher. 2 runs previous to that at Haydock, Original Choice was beaten ahead over a mile on good to soft ground by Fire Brigade, who's been smashing the betting for the Silver Cambridgeshire today. Like the day against Dan Troop, he was just facing an impossible task. He was a little bit unlucky not to be a more clear second. He got a little bit of impeded in his run. Like while he was beaten 7 lengths, he might have beaten 4 or 5 lengths, but he would have been a clear second. So therefore, off a mark of 92, I think he's really well handicapped. He should handle the ground. Yeah, I think he'll put it up to Century Dream. I think 7-1. I think there might even be 8 or 9-1. It's massive. I'm going to have a right go off this each way.
Okay, Frank's got a right go at that one. Get the wheelbarrow out, Frank. The 240 at Haydock is the nationwide vehiclecontracts.co.uk handicap. Hope I've said that right. In this one, we got Quench, Dolly, Mayleaf Shine, Swadalow, who won at Leicester on Monday, my local track. What are we reckoning of this one, Frank? How do they bet?
Yeah, Mayleaf Shine is 4-1, Confessional and Bouncy 6-1, Quench Dolly and Soy Delu 7-1, Tarboosh 15-2 and 12's Bar.
Okay, can we have another one that you want to get really stuck into? Or is there anything you really fancy in this, or is it a bit of a...
Do you know what I mean? Like, I think like there's 2 I like, Mayleaf Shine and Quench Dolly, and when I looked at it, this race has been won by horses up near the top of the handicap a few times in the last few years. She was unbelievably impressive at Goodwood last time.
Quench Dolly, this is, yeah.
Quench Dolly went dropped to 5 furlongs. Initially, when she was entered, I think she was entered in Ayr last week. I didn't think that test would suit her. But then I was looking here, and like she's off 99, 3-year-old allowance. Like they'll probably go a good clip. Like the way she won at Goodwood and handle the ground, she might just be still well handicapped off 99. And while initially I wasn't keen on her when she was in Ayr, I think she might be able to defy the rise. Like I don't think £6 would have stopped her at Goodwood. And yeah, she's 7-1. I think again she's a bit bigger elsewhere. I'd probably have a small each way bet on her.
She's not the biggest filly. Do you worry about her carrying all that weight? Because I know they weren't keen she would actually like the soft ground, even though she won at Goodwood. So if this is proper Haydock heavy, is that a concern, or do you just think she's better?
Like we all know, that day or two at Goodwood was horrible, and I was really worried. I was really worried about her on the ground because I basically been following her for months for this Goodwood race, and I was like, oh shit, the ground was completely against her, and I couldn't really back her to the same level as I would have if the ground had been decent. But like, if anything, it was actually the most impressive performance she's put in so far. So yeah, like as in, look at it's a competitive handicap, but at 8-9-1, yeah, I'm willing to spin the dice and have a go at that.
Okay, DJ, Quench Dolly for you or something else?
Maddie, if I studied every single race on Saturday, I'd be divorced even before I get married. So this was one race I just had about a 15-second look at it, and I said I hate it, and I just moved on.
It's all right. You'll only steal Paul Keeley's tips anyway. Take it away, Paul, before he can say anything.
Frank, you know Quench Dolly was 12s with you this morning.
Yeah, sure. Guess who caught it?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I saw it was 12-1. It was super impressive at Goodwood, and I don't see any reason why she won't go well again. And she was never a double-figure price in my view. And the one thing is they're on the inner track as well, aren't they, Frank? On him again, I think they are. He doesn't ride as soft as the other one. That last meeting they called it heavy at the Sprint Cup meeting. The ground wasn't the ground wasn't heavy. You know what I mean? And I was there, and I promise you, when our time suggested it wasn't, it was nearer soft than it was heavy, and I don't think it'll be that bad. Even if it is, she clearly handles it. The other one I've had a couple of quid each way on a bigger price than it is now is Confessional, just because his form figures at 5 furlongs when the ground is easy at Haydock are pretty exceptional. He just always hits the frame. He looked like he ran a funny race on Sprint Cup Day actually last time, because he looked like he was cantering 2 furlongs and then got outpaced and then ran on again for third. I think he'll run well, but I think Quince Dolly is probably still a bit ahead of him up.
Bit of a legend of a veteran, that Confessional.
Maddie.
Hello.
Sorry, I got that wrong. There's actually 2 horses I kind of like here. Quench Dolly and Confessional. Confessional, I think, might get outpaced and then just run on a bit. Only joking.
Of course you do. Right, we're going to move on now to it's not the rescheduled Air Gold Cup. We've had a big debate in the office as what to call this, because it's a different race, but then it's the same race and it's been sponsored by someone else. But anyway, we've got a lot of the similar horses engaged. This is at 3:15. Sainted is a horse I really like an awful lot. We've also got Johnny Barnes, Mr. Lupton, Don Juan Triumphant, Growl, loads of good names in there. Obviously very competitive as you'd expect. Frank, how do they bet?
Yeah, at the moment, Johnny Barnes is 6-1 favourite. Growl 7-1 along with Shanghai Glory and Sainted. Don Juan Triumphant, Orion's Bow, Alias and Ice Age are 10-1. Stake a Claim, Kickboxer, Wither Sea are 14s and we're 16th bar. Okay,
go for it, Frank. What do you make of this? I really like Sainted. Do you like her?
Oh yeah, she's very progressive. She's quite decent. But I had one in mind for the Air Gold Cup with a few weeks, and the fact it's switched to Haydock has actually made me more confident, and that's Don Juan Triumphant. Now it's just, look, he handles heavy ground. It should be a strong enough pace. 6 furlongs at Haydock, likes Haydock, won a 7 furlong race the last day. I know they're kind of worried that maybe he needs a bit further than 6, but I think with the strong pace and the ability to handle the ground will count massively. I just think he's rock solid. I think we are 5 places in this as well, so
really?
I'd be very surprised if he's not at least in the 5. But I really fancy him for Air. I'd even think he's better at Haydock. I think he's got a massive chance.
He's always been a classy horse, hasn't he? And I think that counts in races like this. David, again, I'm banning you from mentioning Don Juan Triumphant.
I can't talk because I fancy Don Juan Triumphant.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah, I do. I genuinely do. And a key thing here that I think you have to factor in is just the form of the Andrew Balding stable. They're absolutely bombing at the moment. Like, he's had 8 winners in the last fortnight, and for Andrew, that's pretty hot. And his horses aren't just winning. Like, he had a winner of Foss last there a while ago by 22 lengths. Brief Visit won at Newmarket by 7 lengths. Barocco won. Like, they're running as good as they have all season. And I think this horse has been laid out for the race. Like, this is your group horse and a handicap kind of thing. Ground is perfect, track is perfect, stable in form. I just don't know what's not to like.
Okay, is there any point in me going to you now?
Yeah, there is. I mean, this race is just going to, at the end of the day, it's going to tie me up in knots, you see, because, before Don Juan Triumphant ran at Haydock, he was my horse for the Air Gold Cup. And I can
vouch for that, to be fair.
I had actually heard that if he ran, he probably wouldn't run because he'd pick up a penalty. If he won at Haydock, he probably wouldn't run because he'd pick up a penalty. And that didn't turn out. So anyway, I went off him because of the £5 rise. He's going up to Air, and I tipped Johnny Barnes. Now, Johnny Barnes is in the race, but when I tipped him, he was a bigger price than Don Juan Triumphant, and now he's a much shorter price than Don Juan Triumphant. So I'm sort of up in the air. Both really want soft ground. Don Juan Triumphant went off at 7-1 for the Bedford for the Sprint Cup last year, Group 1, and now he's obviously running in a handicap. I'm going to have to back him. I don't know how many more I'm going to have to back him here as well. I think Rene Mathis is still interesting, running off a mark of 100, has been higher. I obviously had a problem, but
Bunbury Cup winner a few years ago,
Bunbury Cup winner, and he's won a big race at Goodwood on soft ground. The same one that Johnny Barnes won this year, actually. And he finished 5th in the Air Gold Cup last year. Now, he likes soft ground. Trainer was originally a bit worried that he wouldn't be ready quite in time for the Air Gold Cup, but he declared it, and he's had another week as well, so that might have helped him as well. And there's plenty others in there who love soft ground that I've backed before, Withensea being one of them, Get Knotted another. But I'm going to end up going with Don Juan Triumphant, and when Johnny Barnes wins, I'll just have to.
Yeah, well, if we don't hear from you after that race, I think we'll presume that you've just gone off the cliff, and that's that. So, does anyone else have any other fancies for Saturday before we do the nap? David?
Yeah, I certainly do. Everything is going to be drawn to Newmarket and the Arc this week, but you kind of have to get a bit giddy when you see like a Grade 2 chase at Gorham Park at 4 o'clock. And
I like this. Get a bit giddy.
Yeah, like it's just like it gives you, every time you think of like proper horses, you think of winter, you think of everything, like as in the time of year, not the horse, you think of winter. And I just think this is it's a fascinating race, the 4 o'clock, because the three of them are rated 158, which is hard to believe that you've
Which three? Give us some names. 3 horses in a 5-horse race. So you've got Ballycasey, Balco de Flo and Shane's Hill that are all rated at 158, which is remarkable, really. I do think Balco de Flo, who won the Galway Plate so impressively, is the big improver. You couldn't say that Ballycasey is still improving. You couldn't say that Shane's Hill particularly is improving, even though he ran well in Galway, but he had a hard race next time when he was beaten later on in the week. I think Balco de Flo is the big improver, and I think he'll win. He won't be much of a price, but I do think he'll win. Elsewhere on the card, there's Sorry, I'll just interject. Do you think Balco de Flo, looking forward to the season, could he be, where do you see him? Do you think he could be contesting those real top races, or...?
Yeah, I think he'll contest them. I don't think he'll win them. I think he's well up to running. I think you will see him in something like the JN Wine Champion Chase at Down Royal. Gigginson has so many sort of do. Like they've got plenty that will be aimed. But I think he's up there. He's in their top 5, top 3 staying chasers. I think he'll win this, and I think ground and everything is perfect. Elsewhere on the card, in the 4:35, I'm going to put up a horse that has form figures of P08.
Lovely.
So that'll tell you. It's called Barely Legal, trained by Carol Thornton, ridden by Dunamyler. If this horse repeats his run at Leopardstown back in March, it was third to Mr. Diablo off a £1 higher mark in a much better race than this. I think he's really well handicapped, and he's just a better chaser than he is a hurdler. I think Barely Legal can win that 4:35. And elsewhere on the card, Midnight Stroll is really interesting. A good bumper horse runs for Robert Tyner and Philip Enright in the 250. The maiden hurdle. And I also think in the 215, this could be a price as well. High School Days, trained by Henry de Bromhead. I hate backing horses first time in a handicap, but I think High School Days has got off lightly in off 105. Donny McInerney, who's the hottest claimer in Ireland at the moment, he takes off £7. And this High School Days was second to Penny Jane, second to La Reachberg, third to Law Girl, third to the Birdie Crow. It's kind of solid form. I thought he probably should have got a rating of about 115. He's got 105. So, High School Days, Balco de Flo and Barely Legal will be my 3.
Yeah, in Goran, I like that Midnight Stroll as well. Like, as in second to Bullionaire, who could be very good.
I like
in
him,
the bumper in Newbury. Bullionaire is one to watch for the season coming. But Midnight Stroll was second to him, was third in the Punchtown bumper, only a head or a neck behind Next Destination, was fourth in the Champion bumper. He should really be too good for them in the 250. And the 325, I'm taking a chance on a handicap debutant. Without Limits was a half decent bumper horse. He won a listed bumper at Limerick. Slightly disappointing over hurdles. He did manage to get his head in front in 4 attempts, but he's starting off handicapping off 114, and I'd be very disappointed if he's not better than that. He handles poor ground, and I'd say coming from Liz Doyle, it might just be a price, hopefully, and I'd be willing to take a chance on that at a big enough price. Okay. And in Sean T, I do fancy one, the 135. A horse called the Juliet Rose. She won the race last year. She didn't run till about a month ago in the, I'm not even going to try and pronounce it, in the race in Deauville. She was very weak in the betting that day. It suggests she come on massively for the run. This has probably been the aim all year. I think she will take a bit of beating.
Okay, before I have to stop poking Keely to wake up, let's get the Saturday naps.
No, I ain't done yet.
Have you got 2?
Yeah, I've got 2 more.
Blimey, don't make them as long as the other 2.
I go quick, don't worry about that. Right, 350 Haydock. 350
Shut up.
Haydock. Englishman's horse I tipped last time, and it was given what one UK commentator said, a criminal ride by Richard Kingscote. It wasn't his best effort, especially given it was Haydock. He sat on Englishman as though he was sitting on a rocket and waiting to press the button. And when he finally got going, it was too late, and winner Hyperfocus had long gone. But he should have been second at the very least. He's £5 better off. He's got a £7 claimer on, so he's going to be chunks better off. He always runs well at Haydock on soft ground. And over at Market Raisin, proper jump racing in Britain.
I'm loving this jumps mentioning.
Proper jump racing in Britain, the 355. Right, there isn't a trainer probably isn't a trainer in Britain or Ireland who didn't want James Bowen's services this year.
Yeah, very
as
true.
a £7 claimer, and Harry Skelton has booked him Dan Skelton has booked him for Red Tornado, who went off 3-1 favourite for this race last year and got well and truly thumped. I don't know why that was, but it wasn't the track, because he was second last time to John Constable in a good race here in the summer.
He won a string of races like this, didn't he?
Exactly, and I just think he's with James Bowen taking £7 off at official rating of 132, he'll just win.
Okay, Red Tornado. Right, before we go to the Arc and Shanti, let's have your Saturday naps.
This will not be beaten.
Okay, David, you first.
Well, I'm adopting a new approach, and because last week I wanted to get a nap up and I tipped Moulin Avant and he returned 4-9. There was a non-runner though, but he won, and it's all about winners. So
Not
I
all
think,
about winners.
It's not value.
No, but just for the nap.
You shouldn't be
because,
able to look yourself in the mirror after that one.
Yeah, but as well as that, at least people can't abuse you too much, because when the naps get beaten, you do get abused. So
Right, come on, crack on. We're running out of
You've
time
got a
here.
thicker skin than that.
I think Clemmy is a certainty in the Cheveley Park.
Okay, Frank.
Haydock 205, original choice, will hopefully do the favourite there. Yep.
Okay, Keels.
Yeah, in terms of price, I just think Beckford is the horse that most wrongly priced in
I agree.
the what's it called, Middle Park,
Yeah.
which
Don't be
is we have to
asking
remember
me.
the time, don't we? What time is the race?
The
What time's
Middle Park is at 2:55.
2:55. There you go.
Okay, we're going to cover Shanti right after this break.
Paddy Power are offering money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes second, third or fourth to the SP favourite in 2 races today and every day this month. Max £25 per race. T&Cs apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Okay, welcome back to Friday's Tip and Postcast. We're going to quickly cover Shanti now with the Arc, of course, the showpiece event at 3:05. Paddy Power, I believe, are playing 4 places. Enable's in there. Now, I had a good look at this race last night, and there's one that I think is really, really overpriced. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll probably know who that is. But enough about me. Frank, how do they bet?
Tell us. What is it?
Oh, I'll tell you in a
Capri.
minute. I'll
Come
tell you
on.
in a minute. Keels knows. You guys need to, keep your wits about you a bit more on social media, then you'd know. Sorry, Frank, go for it.
Enable is favourite at even money. Ulysses 15-2, Winter 9-1, Order St George 11-1, Deshingi's Secret 12-1, Bramato 14-1, Capri 18-1, and we're 20s bar.
Capri should not be 20-1. Right, Keels, kick us off.
I mean, like everybody, I can't really see past Enable winning the race. But I think if there's
Boring, that's boring.
one danger to it, it is Order of St George, and I cannot believe for the life of me how Ryan Moore has ended up on Winter.
No.
He was run once over further than a mile and beat a horse called Blonde Me, who you could put in this race at 10,000 to 1 and it wouldn't have a single backer. She's just got so much to prove going up to 1.5 miles for the first time, and her form ain't that good anyway. So
Someone
I can't have
said
it.
a load on Twitter last night about how Winter's really, really overrated. She's not beaten anything, and everything's had
it's hard to say.
excuses.
It's hard to say a horse is overrated when she keeps on winning, and then you can forgive one slightly below par run, maybe at Leopardstown, but the level of the form itself isn't that high.
No.
Same could be said of Found last year, mind you. She hadn't shown actually that much more in terms of raising post ratings, but. This looks a weakish race to me, other than Enable. And Order St George, he's absolutely bomb-proof on soft ground. He just runs his race every single time. We all know he's not the most straightforward in the world.
He's classy though, isn't he?
But he is very, very classy, and he's an older but better version of Capri as far as I'm concerned. The first 4 home in the race in the Innocent Ledger were covered by about 2.5 lengths. Rekindling got an absolute shocker of a ride and should have been closer. And Order St George absolutely destroyed him very, very easily. So, I think he's the one to finish second. I don't really give much else a chance.
No, and you just think Enable's going to win, pure
I
and
think
simple?
Enable will probably win, but I just think Order St George is thumping each way better around 10, 12 to 1.
Okay, Order St George, the wrong price for Keels. David?
I think the most interesting one is Winter.
Oh, no,
So
you
it just goes to show you that I certainly don't copy Paul all the time. And
I could say she's the most interesting because she's running over, she's running over trips she hasn't raced at.
I think it's very interesting that Ryan's picked her.
Well, here you go.
Does he pick though? Does he pick or does he get told?
Well, that's true.
This has been the plan
Hang on,
for
didn't you
months.
say before the Irish Champion Stakes that they thought that Churchill was way better than Winter?
Yeah, over a mile. Yeah, certainly.
Ah, okay.
But this has been the plan for Winter for a long, long time. And apparently she will come on leaps and bounds from Leopardstown. Like,
She's going to need to.
yeah, she obviously will. But like she's out of Galileo. Laddie's Poker 2, the dam, like, won over 7 furlong. And like, I know it was a sprinter, but it won in its debut, I think, over 7 furlongs at Kempton. And I think just her style, she's so relaxed. She's so straightforward. Like, I could just see her, like, breaking well, sitting third or fourth, getting into a nice posse. And she's so much class. As Paul said, the main reason why I think Winter is really interesting is because of the race. I think when you go below Winter, and Order St. George is obviously interesting, but the thing about Order St. George is, let's be honest about it, it's probably going to finish second, third, fourth or fifth. I just think it's vulnerable to something a little bit special. Enable obviously deserves to be favoured. She's spectacular. But I do think it's between the two fillies. I think Enable is a better filly than Found. Found was good enough to win this race. Aidan knows. He knows what he has. He knows he's known for some time, I think, that Ryan was going to ride Winter. She does have class, and I think 9-1 is pretty fair. I wouldn't be one bit surprised if Winter beat Enable, even though I think Enable is the most likely winner.
I'd much prefer to take a dual classic winner at more than double the price myself, but you are right. We like
I'm
to
a
have
classic winner too. I'm a
Well,
dual
this
classic
is
winner as
true.
well.
Well, yeah, I think mine are probably better. Anyway, we like a difference of opinion. Frank, anything different for you to chuck into the ring for us?
Yeah, like look, everyone thinks Enabled past the post already, but at the
Is
price.
she?
That's what people think. I wouldn't be of that opinion. It's an arc, and no matter how weak you might think it is, it's going to take a fair amount.
You've got to mention
win
the
this
draw
race.
as well. The draw's been quite kind to her, hasn't it?
Yeah, they've got a low enough draw. Look, I was looking at it and I was kind of going, Ulysses is very solid, but really, can he beat Enable? Probably unlikely. For me, stamina is a massive issue for Winter. I'm not convinced she'll see it out at all. I would think if you're backing her, I'd be putting in and out late about 2-1, 9-4, because I could see her travelling well to maybe a furlong and a half out, and I can see her just running out of petrol and stopping. But that's just my opinion. I was willing to give one at a massive price and each way a chance. I don't think he'll win, but I'd rather back this at 40-1, or I think
This is
Idaho.
definitely Cloth of Stars.
Idaho?
No,
Cloth of
Idaho.
Stars.
Idaho. He was terrible in America.
It is Idaho.
Terrible in America, and I think you can forgive him that. I thought it was interesting enough Shamie Heffernan's on him rather than maybe one of the other ones that he could have ridden. Like, he would have won the Ledger last year, no doubt. He won a Royal Ascot in the Hardwick. He was third in the King George, only probably a neck behind Ulysses.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree with
40-1.
you. Yeah, I really do.
Like, 4 places, I wouldn't be shocked to see him place. And if he places, you'll actually get more than if you backed Enable to win for the same stake.
Yeah, I totally agree.
That's the way I'd
Idaho's
look at
the
it.
one I looked at. We mentioned the draw. I mean, I don't actually think it has that much impact because quite a few have won from out wide at Shanty. Anyone have any strong opinions on the draw before we move on?
Well,
No, I
according to
don't
our
think so,
international
do we?
experts, yeah. Our international experts were saying you wouldn't want to be drawn too high, but they were telling me I wouldn't know.
International expert, I could tell you that, and I'm not an international
Oh
expert.
no, but I think like you need to be drawing 8 or so down.
Well, I
To
thought
real chance,
wasn't
but-
it all high numbers last year?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's the last
Oh,
told me, but
can we just say
But,
if you're
yeah,
good
I
enough,
don't
you'll
know.
win from wherever. Right, okay, moving on to the Marcel Boussac 110. Polydream in there is a really interesting horse who beat Lawrence, who won the May Hill. And we've also Aidan O'Brien's Saddles Magical in September, I believe. Frank, is that right? And if so, what prices?
yeah, Polydream 5-4 Magical, 9-4 Sue's Traction, 8-1 Mission, Impassable 8-1 also, and we're 12s bar.
Okay, kick us off, Frank. This Polydream, a lot of people think she's something special, don't they?
I'll be dead honest, I just go lumping that, and that's the race done with.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, I watched it. I just watched it on YouTube before I came out, and it's absolutely thrashed Lawrence. The jockey is looking up at the big screen, the furlong out, and he's just riding along and having another look all the time. It was just totally in control. So yeah, very good horse.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
it'll be
'cause
about 1.2 on the PMU tomorrow.
we have got to hurry up a little bit here. So, David, I'm a bit reluctant to go to you on that note, but
No,
Polydream as well.
I just fancy Polydream, yeah.
Okay, all of us on Polydream. 145, the Jean-Luc Lagardère, as Paul Keeley mentioned earlier, happily the filly taking on the Colts, Massart and Olmedio, who was very impressive on debut, went into a lot of notebooks. Frank, quickly, the betting.
Yeah, just 1 second. I'm just getting it there now. Massars 13-8, Happily 5-2, Mythical Magic 4-1, Almeida 5-1, 9-1 bar.
Okay, and your pick, Frank?
Happily.
Okay, David.
Massar crying out for a mile.
Do you think he's good enough?
Oh yeah, crying out for a mile. He's a stayer.
Yeah, it's probably not the strongest race. Maybe I'm not sure.
No, I don't think it's a very strong race.
No.
I thought Happily should have been Fav, so that would have been for me.
Okay, I like Happily as well. And moving on now to the Prix de l'Opera, Waheeda, Sangha, Rhododendron. This could be quite a competitive race. Frank, what does the betting say?
The betting says I can't find it.
And I say not good enough. No.
2 seconds, I'll get it there. All right. Maybe go to the lads after selection. I'll get the prices for you.
Have you had a look at this, Skills?
Not a massive look. I mean, I keep thinking Rhododendron should be better than she's shown this year. And she's been on the drift all week by all accounts, by the look of it. So I'm not 100% sure, no.
But maybe a stab at Rhododendron. Okay, David?
I thought the one that was overpriced was Queen's Trust. I think she's 9s with powers.
You won't like
she's
this
not,
ground, will
she's
she?
8s. Yeah, I don't know. I just think she's a bit of class, and there's ifs and buts about so many of them. I think she's pretty consistent, and if Enable hasn't absolutely battered her heart, I think Queen's Trust could be interesting.
Okay, Frank.
Yeah, I have the prices. Yeah, Hydrangea and Lacazar 5-1, Chamarine 11-2, Waheeda 6-1, Queen's Trust, Rhododendron, Sangha 8-1, and 10-1 bar. I'm hoping Dermot will get a winner on Arc Day and make up for the disappointing early season. Chamarine was very good at the Curragh there on Champions Weekend, and I think she'll relish the ground. I think Queen's Trust, the ground's a massive negative.
Yeah.
It's also a negative that why is Ryan Moore not on Rhododendron, who we would have thought would have been first string. Hydrangea, she seems to love Leopardstown but not run quite so well away from there. I think the Chamarine's got a right chance.
Yeah, I'm not sure Hydrangea would be good enough even on that winter form, because as we say, winter, which everyone knows she wasn't quite right then. The Abbey, we've got Marsha taking on Batash again. Do you reckon Marsha can win this race for the second year in a row, Keels?
Well, I hope not. I'm a massive fan of Batash, and I'm just going to give him another chance.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to shell out a penny until we see what happens when he's down at the start. But apparently he can get saddled out there, can't he? I mean, so he can be away from all the noise or whatever. But he just got so worked up at York.
He really did, yeah.
And I just can't believe, he travelled really, really well for about
I thought he was going to win for halfway through.
I did, and I thought, blimey, to get that worked up, and I just think he is a potential superstar if they can get his head right, but whether they ever can or not is another matter.
He's a quirky old thing, isn't he? But I think I'd be inclined to agree. David, Marshall, or Batash, or something else?
Batash for me. I think
2 scores.
I just think. I think the track will suit, and just so much natural early pace. It's just effortless over those first 2 furlongs for Batash. 7-2 is very fair. It looks a 2-horse race, and I give Batash another chance. And as Paul said, this whole thing before the race, I think they're allowed to keep it well away
York,
from
they had to walk him across, and they had all those shenanigans as well. So it might be worth bearing that in mind.
And this is it's pretty much a speed test. This 5 furlong track at Shanty, I think. So yeah, Batash for me.
Okay, and Frank, quickly.
I'm been burnt by this horse a couple of times this year, but I'm going to go in one last time. That's Signs of Blessing. I still can't get his run at Deauville in May out of my head when he hammered Profitable, giving him £11. And his record at Shanty is 2 wins and a second from 3 efforts. He got back to form the last day at Deauville again, winning a Group 3 very, very easily. I think 5 furlongs soft ground. He'll blast out in front, and I'm hoping he'll stay there. I will back him each way though. He's about 9-2, 5-1, that kind of price.
Okay, so Signs of Blessing for Frank. And quickly, the Qatar Prix de la Forêt at 5:15. I don't believe Lamato's going to run in this, which isn't a great surprise given the forecast. Keels, have you had a great look at this?
Not really. I'd forgotten it was even on.
That's just what we want to hear from our best tipsters.
There's too much racing going on. How many races do you need previewed in a day?
We ask too much of you, don't we?
If Brando gets 7 furlongs, he's probably a fair price, but some decent horses in there.
Frank, what price can we get on Brando?
Brando is 6-1. I'll give you the mark there. Acclaim and Zelzal are 5-2 joint favourites. Carrar 7-2. Brando 6-1. Dame de Roy 10-1 and 16 bar.
Okay, well, I haven't heard of half of those, so it's probably not a great race. I know they've been keen to get Acclaim a Group 1. Maybe this could be his opportunity. David, what say you?
No, don't fancy Anton here.
Nothing at all?
No.
Okay, and Frank, what about you?
I'm probably going to be hungover on Sunday, so I'll probably pop out and get a pizza or a packet of chips, I'd say, by the time this race is on.
A packet of chips.
Yeah. Something dirty, greasy.
I absolutely love this mentality. None of us like the foray. Right, now on to our Sunday naps.
This will not be beaten.
Okay, Frank, instead of chips, what's your Sunday nap?
Sean T is on, but I'm going to Tipperary for my Sunday nap.
Excellent.
4 o'clock CR. Apparently this is quite good, and I'd say it might win.
Apparently this is quite good. It's your Sunday nap. For God's sake, right, Keels, anything better?
No, I just think Order St George's a thumping each way bet.
Okay, quite simple.
sorry.
DJ?
Sorry, can I just say, actually, yeah, I completely forgot. Polydream's a complete certainty as well. 5-4.
No price. No price, though, is it?
Put in a double with the Willie one in the Tipperary.
Okay, DJ?
Maddie, I have a horse here that genuinely now, I mean this will not be beaten. This can be the new theme tune for our naps. As I said before, I have one horse and one horse only in my horse tracker, and this filly is running on Sunday in Musselburgh in the 2:30. Now this I cannot describe how confident I am about this. I've been praying for it to come out. It's called Ellerbrook. Okay, it's trained by Michael Dobbs.
How is this spelled?
ELLER and then BROOK. Okay. And look, I'm just convinced this horse has a stone in hand. Convinced. Ran first time in the nursery last time, over course and distance. Just have a look at the race. My God. It came out of the stalls.
I backed it.
It was so eye-catching, wasn't it, Paul?
Yeah, it was.
And
definitely.
It's got a pound, right? Like, Paul Morenon basically gave it a nice, easy race. It still was on the bridle over a furlong out. Like, this is as bad a nursery as you can find. This horse has a stone in hand. When the betting open up on Saturday, it could be a little bit of a price, but it will be smashed, I'd imagine. Like, I'll be literally devastated if Ellerbrook doesn't win this 2:30 at Musselburgh.
Okay. We don't want that to happen. Thank you all for your contributions. That's a great note to end on. It's goodbye from us lot, and please join us on Monday when I'll be back.
Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive Cash Card Plus. Available to use online, at ATMs, or even down the local. Paddy Power, you beauty.